Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we sift through the latest research, articles, and scientific breakthroughs to bring you the most compelling insights, helping you get truly well-informed quickly. Now, let's play a little mental game. When I say Neanderthal, what's the first image that flashes into your mind? For most of us, it's pretty consistent, isn't it? A hulking, perhaps slightly dim-witted caveman, club in hand, probably gnawing on a raw, bloody chunk of mammoth meat by a flickering fire. It's an iconic, almost cartoonish image that's, deeply ingrained in our collective imagination.
Oh, absolutely. It's the quintessential picture, isn't it? That primitive, instinct-driven carnivore just focused on big game. It's a simple narrative, maybe even a convenient one, that has really dominated how we've seen our ancient cousins for, gosh, far too long.
Exactly. That image of the brutal, meat-obsessed brute has been sort of the bedrock of our understanding. But what if I told you that recent science, literally hot off the presses, is completely rewriting that entire story, that the actual menu of our ancient relatives was far more diverse, far more sophisticated, and incredibly adaptable, really defying almost everything we thought we knew? That's our mission today. We're diving deep into some fascinating source material, including a brand new article published just yesterday, September 6, 2025, titled, "What Neanderthals Really Ate Will Surprise You. It Wasn't All Mammoth Meat After All." We're going to unpack how cutting-edge archaeological findings and sophisticated genetic analyses are painting this much more nuanced picture of their eating habits, showing that their diet stretched far, far beyond simple carnivory. So prepare for some genuine aha moments and a whole new perspective on who Neanderthals truly were. Okay, let's unpack this surprising new picture.
Yes, let's. Because that popular perception of Neanderthals as purely brutal carnivores is being, utterly shattered by a wave of new research. The recent article draws heavily on a landmark study published back in 2017, alongside really compelling findings from other investigations. They're looking at everything from ancient dental plaque, which is amazing, to cave remains and coastal settlements right across Europe. And what this growing body of evidence reveals is that, yes, they were certainly skilled hunters of large prey, absolutely. But their diet was incredibly broad. It also included everything from seafood and diverse forest plants to fungi, and yes, even under certain circumstances, each other. It's a complete overhaul of the image you might have from, school textbooks.
It's genuinely mind-bending how much that shifts our view. It immediately forces us to reconsider their intelligence, their capacity for adaptability, and what's truly striking is how profoundly their menu was shaped by where they lived. So what does this dramatic variation in their diet across different landscapes tell us about how flexible Neanderthals truly were as a species?
Well, what's truly fascinating here is how directly the environment dictated their nutritional strategy. It really showcases an almost unparalleled level of adaptability for a hominin species. If we look at northern regions, for instance, in what is now Belgium, specifically at a site called Spy Cave, researchers there use sophisticated techniques like stable isotope analysis. This is a method that basically measures the chemical traces of different foods left in bones and teeth over time. It essentially creates a detailed dietary fingerprint. And that, coupled with insights from calcified dental plaque from 6 Neanderthals found there, the evidence points overwhelmingly to a very high consumption of animal protein. We're talking about a diet primarily made up of enormous woolly rhinoceroses, hardy wild sheep, and yes, of course, mammoths. This intense carnivorous tendency in the colder, more open environments of the north is strongly supported by the archaeology, too. You find numerous butchered bones at these sites alongside sophisticated hunting tools. It tells us they were expert big game hunters, really skilled at taking down formidable prey.
Right. So in those frosty, challenging northern landscapes, it was a meat-heavy feast, born of necessity and expertise, it sounds like. But the narrative becomes even more intriguing when we shift our focus south to the southern European Neanderthals. The evidence describes a stark contrast there, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's a dramatic pivot, a complete flip. If you move south to the warmer, more temperate regions of Europe, places like Spain's El Sidrón Cave, here, researchers found almost no trace of meat in the dental plaque. Almost none. Instead, the analysis revealed an abundance of plant microfossils, tiny fragments of plants, and countless starch grains. Get this, they even found traces of mosses, tree bark, and various mushrooms embedded in their teeth. So this indicates a primarily vegetarian or at least highly omnivorous diet directly adapted to the dense forest ecosystems prevalent in that region. And this wasn't just, a cultural preference for salads, it was an ecological necessity. It proves their remarkable nutritional flexibility. They simply ate what was most abundantly available and thrived. It demonstrates an impressive ability to forage and process a really wide range of plant foods.
Wow. And it wasn't just land-based foraging either, whether for huge game or forest plants. The research reveals another truly surprising facet of the Neanderthal diet: sophisticated coastal cuisine. I mean, we're talking about them becoming quite adept at harvesting and consuming seafood.
That's right. Yeah, for Neanderthal communities living along ancient coastlines, like those at Gruta da Figueira Brava in Portugal, seafood became a remarkably significant part of their diet, consistent too. Excavations at this site have uncovered clear and abundant evidence of shellfish consumption. We're talking common species like brown crabs, mussels, and limpets. But what's even more compelling, I think, for understanding their culinary intelligence are the burn marks and cracked shells found right alongside human remains. These are really strong indicators that these shellfish weren't just gathered and eaten raw. No, they were actively roasted over controlled fires. It suggests a level of culinary knowledge, a systematic approach to cooking that we previously might not have attributed to them. It really paints a picture of deliberate meal preparation.
That's truly captivating to imagine. It's just such a far cry from that brutish image, isn't it? Picturing them gathering around a fire, enjoying roasted crabs. But the findings at that same site push our understanding even further. What about deep sea foraging? Did they really venture beyond the immediate shoreline for bigger marine game?
Indeed, they did, which is quite something. At Gruta de Figueira Brava, alongside the shellfish, researchers also discovered remains of sharks, seals, dolphins, and even eels. Now, this isn't just, opportunistic scavenging of things washed ashore. It strongly suggests a surprisingly advanced and deliberate exploitation of marine resources. It indicates they possessed a deep understanding of ocean tides, currents, probably marine life behavior too. This kind of complex foraging, actively engaging with and harvesting deep-sea species, was exceptionally rare even among early Homo sapiens. Really rare. It truly places these coastal Neanderthals in a unique category. Hominins who developed sophisticated strategies for marine resource acquisition independently, long before agriculture even started. Their diet here was not only diverse, but seasonally adaptive and profoundly environmentally responsive. It shows a very keen understanding of their ecosystem.
Okay, this emerging picture of the adaptable, intelligent, and, well, culinarily capable Neanderthal is a monumental shift. But then the research also touches on a far more challenging and ethically complex aspect of their diet: cannibalism.
Right. This raises an important and, often uncomfortable question, one that anthropologists and archaeologists have grappled with for decades. The evidence for Neanderthal cannibalism, it comes from several well-documented cave sites across Europe, places in France, Spain, and Croatia. At these sites, researchers have found Neanderthal bones bearing distinct cut marks, impact fractures, and even signs consistent with boiling. These indicators are strikingly similar to the butchery marks found on animal bones at the same sites. It suggests defleshing and marrow extraction, which points directly to the consumption of their own kind.
So the core dilemma for us and for researchers trying to understand these actions is why? What are the main theories currently being debated about why Neanderthals engaged in this practice? Was it purely a grim survival mechanism during periods of extreme scarcity, or could it perhaps have had a more ritualistic or social function? It's hard to imagine, but either scenario profoundly challenges that simple instinct-driven brute caricature, doesn't it?
Precisely. It forces a much more complex view. Some researchers argue strongly that it was an opportunistic response to famine, especially during the harsh conditions of the Ice Age, a desperate measure to survive when other food sources just failed. And the patterns of bone processing often align with what you'd expect for maximizing caloric intake, getting every last bit of nutrition. However, other theories suggest a deeper cultural complexity. In some cases, the way the remains were processed and disposed of hints at practices beyond mere nutritional expediency, perhaps even symbolic or ritualistic actions related to group identity, mourning, or maybe even aggression between groups. Regardless of the exact reason, it undeniably adds another layer to their behavioral repertoire. It moves them further away from that primitive image and into a realm of complex, albeit sometimes disturbing, human-like behaviors. This forces us to grapple with a difficult aspect of our shared hominin past. It reminds us that survival often pushed ancient populations to extreme measures. And it challenges us to view these behaviors not through a modern moral lens, but as incredibly complex adaptations within their specific environmental and cultural contexts.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, this deep dive into ancient diets isn't just about history. It has fascinating, sometimes uncomfortable implications for how we think about what we should eat today. For instance, how does the actual Neanderthal menu stack up against the popular paleo diet trend, which often advocates eating like our Paleolithic ancestors?
Ah, yes. Well, what's truly fascinating here is how the evidence from these real Neanderthal diets directly undermines the frankly simplistic assumptions of the modern paleo diet. That trend often emphasizes a very high consumption of lean meat, nuts, and raw vegetables, right? While shunning grains, dairy, processed foods as somehow unnatural or non-ancestral. Yet the article highlights that real Neanderthals consumed starchy plants, various legumes, fungi, and even cooked shellfish, many of which are often explicitly excluded from modern paleo plans. This means that the pure hunter-gatherer image, often invoked by modern paleo diets, which tends to exclude these complex carbohydrates and cooked seafood, well, it just doesn't actually align with the nuanced, highly adaptable reality of Neanderthal eating. They were far more omnivorous and, frankly, culinary innovators than many contemporary diet fads would suggest.
Okay. So if I'm understanding this correctly, their diets weren't some constant, unchanging blueprint for humanity. It wasn't one specific paleo diet at all.
Exactly. Not even close. Their diets were incredibly adaptive, constantly adjusting to local resources. Whether they were navigating lush, temperate forests, the frigid open tundras of the north, or rich coastlines, they figured it out. This tremendous variability suggests that the romanticized idea of a single, natural human diet, a kind of nutritional instruction manual from our deep past, is incredibly misleading. As a species, both Neanderthals and early Homo sapiens, we evolved to be dietary opportunists, not strict carnivores or rigid plant pickers. Our true evolutionary signature, the one we share with our ancient cousins, is one of radical dietary flexibility. And this insight isn't just academic, it empowers us, to reconsider modern dietary dogma and appreciate the immense adaptability woven into our very genetics.
And much of this groundbreaking new information, especially the incredibly detailed insights into specific plant consumption and even potential medicinal knowledge, it came from an unlikely, almost microscopic source: ancient dental plaque. That's truly a scientific breakthrough in itself.
Oh, it absolutely is. Dental plaque, which mineralizes over thousands of years into calculus or tartar, acts as a remarkable biological time capsule. It preserves tiny fragments of basically everything that entered the mouth. The 2017 study, in particular, really propelled this field forward by employing cutting-edge metagenomic sequencing on Neanderthal teeth. Think of it like a complete genetic sweep. This powerful technique allowed researchers to identify every single genetic fragment present in the plaque, not just from the Neanderthals' own cells, but also the remnants of plants, animals, and even the bacteria making up their ancient oral microbiome, the entire community of microorganisms living in their mouths. This is just an unprecedented window into their health, their diet, and their environment.
And the discoveries from that plaque are truly astonishing, going beyond just what they ate to what they knew, like this revelation of potential medicinal knowledge.
Yes. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's truly mind-blowing. The detailed analysis described in the article uncovered traces of poplar bark in the dental plaque of one Neanderthal. Now, why is this significant? Poplar bark is a natural source of salicylic acid, the active compound found in modern aspirin. And even more incredibly, they found evidence of penicillium, a mold directly related to modern antibiotics. These findings strongly hint at a possible understanding of medicinal plants and natural remedies long, long before formal medicine existed. This probably wasn't just accidental foraging. It suggests intentional, maybe inherited wisdom about natural remedies. Perhaps a proto-pharmacological tradition, meaning a nascent early form of medical knowledge and practice passed down through generations. It suggests their diets were about more than just calories. They reflected sophisticated adaptation, accumulated knowledge, and quite possibly a fundamental grasp of how to manage their health using what their environment provided.
It's incredible to think that something as small and seemingly insignificant as dental plaque can open up such a huge, profound window into the past, completely changing our understanding of a species. This deep dive has truly revealed Neanderthals as incredibly adaptable, with diets that varied wildly by environment, demonstrating sophisticated culinary and foraging skills, and even possessing a surprising knowledge of medicinal plants. It's so far from that old, simplistic, brutal carnivore image we started with.
It's a profound shift, isn't it? It forces us to fundamentally rethink the entire narrative of Neanderthal intelligence and culture. For too long, we've positioned them as, well, primitive brutes. But these findings reveal a species capable of complex problem-solving, environmental mastery, and perhaps even early forms of scientific inquiry. It really challenges our own human-centric biases and kind of blurs the lines we've drawn between us and them.
So, considering how incredibly adaptable Neanderthal diets were, and how much we've learned from something as small as a bit of dental plaque, what else might we be misinterpreting about ancient human history? What hidden knowledge might still be waiting to be discovered just under the surface of our current understanding, ready to completely redefine our past? We hope this deep dive has given you a fresh, nuanced perspective on our ancient relatives and prompted you to think differently. If you enjoyed this journey into the past, please subscribe to the deep dive wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're watching on YouTube, we'd love for you to share your own thoughts on this fascinating topic in the comments below. What stands out to you the most? We love hearing from you.